By now it is clear that most of the substances which are available in our surrounding are not chemically pure. Individual components of a mixture can be separated using different techniques. So today we are going to study different techniques for separating the components of the mixture. So first we will see separating solid from other solids. So for this there are three methods. First is threshing, winnowing, hand picking and sieving. After the wheat grain is harvested, the wheat grains have to be separated. So, the first step to separate the wheat grains from the stalk is called threshing. How it is done? It is done by beating the stalks on the ground or by using mechanical thresher. So that threshing is the first method. Second is how winnowing is done. This mixture of the wheat grains and the stalk is allowed to fall from the height. When the mixture is falling from the height, the breeze blows away the chaff from the grains and the grains are separated. So the process of separating the grains from the husk and the hay is called winnowing. With the help of blowing wind is called winnowing. Now hand picking. Undesirable substances such as pieces of stones in rice or cereals can be separated by hand picking. This is possible when the particles of the undesirable substances are different from the food grains in shape, size and color. Next is sieving. When the constituents of the mixture have particles of different sizes, a sieve can be used to separate the mixture. So these are the few methods for separating the solid from other solids. Now we will see the method for separating insoluble solids from liquids. In this we will see three methods. First is sedimentation, decantation and filtration. So the methods are sedimentation, decantation, filtration. So quickly we will see what is sedimentation, decantation and filtration. The settling down of the particles of the insoluble solid is called sedimentation. The upper clear liquid is called supernatant. And the insoluble solid in sedimentation is called sediment. Now comes the method called decantation. The method of gradually pouring of the liquid from one container to another without disturbing the sediment is called decantation. Now comes filtration. The method of separating insoluble solid from the liquid using a filter paper is called filtration. So these are the methods of separating insoluble solids from liquid. Now we will see the for separating a solid that sublimes. Now let me go to the basics ones. The three states of matter are solid, liquid the state from solid to liquid, what we are supposed to do? What is the process is melting. By melting the solid object, we can change the state of solid to liquid. From liquid to gas is boiling. Similarly, from vice versa, from liquid to solid is called, better write here, is called freezing. And from gas to liquid is called condensation. I think you all are familiar with these terms. So now if we want to change the state from solid to gas, is it possible? Directly from solid to gas? Yes, that process is called sublimation. Is it clear? The process is called sublimation. There are some solids which on heating directly changes from solid to gaseous state without attaining liquid state. In between, intermediate state is liquid. But when we are supplying heat, what happens? Directly a substance changes its state from solid to gaseous state. So this type of such substances are called sublimate, and the process is called sublimation. Here what happens? The volatile substances can be separated from non-volatile substances, non-volatile sublimating substances. Here the substances which are more volatile in nature will change to vapor state. So that process is called sublimation. Few examples are camphor, naphthalene balls, ammonium chloride, iodine. So these are few examples of sublimation. So today let's start with the separating technique used for separating two immiscible liquid. First, let's see what is immiscible liquid. The liquids which do not dissolve with each other are called immiscible liquids. Like suppose you can take kerosene oil and water, or vegetable oil and water. So how much effort you will take to mix it, the oil and water will never mix. So these are called immiscible liquids. So to separate two immiscible liquid, we use this separating funnel. So this is called a separating funnel. It looks somewhat like this. This is a separating funnel. This is called separating funnel. This is a stopcock. This is oil and this is water. So in separating funnel, just pour oil and water and close from top, and here also the stopper should be closed, tightly closed, and just shake it. After shaking, keep it undisturbed for some time. Afterwards, what you will observe, that the two layers will be formed. So the liquid which has got less density or low density will be at the top, and a high density liquid will be at the bottom. So here this top one is oil and the bottom one is water. Now what you do, just open the stopcock or the stopper, open it and let all the water come down. Now when all the water comes down and this oil reaches here, just close it. And this is this is the way how you will separate the oil and water through this separating funnel. Okay. Now just now we have talked about immiscible liquid. Now separation of two miscible liquids. Now what do you understand by miscible liquids? Immiscible liquid which do not dissolve completely, and miscible liquids means the two liquids which completely dissolve with each other. So we can separate these two liquids by the method of distillation and second by fractional distillation. So one by one we will discuss what is distillation and what is fractional distillation. Distillation. This method is used to separate volatile liquids from non-volatile ones. The two liquids should have sufficient difference in their boiling point. The mixture is boiled in a round bottom flask, and the boiling point of the liquid which has low boiling point will convert into vapor and pass through to the distillation flask into the condenser and condense into a liquid and are separately collected. Suppose in this we will take a mixture of acetone and water. In this, the boiling point of acetone is 56 degrees Celsius and water is 100 degrees Celsius. So when the mixture of acetone and water are boiled in a round water flask, in a distillation flask, what will happen? And one thing is very necessary, that you have to keep watch on the thermometer which is attached to the distillation flask. And when the temperature reaches to 56 degrees Celsius, acetone will convert into vapor. It will pass from the distillation flask to condense into liquid and is separately collected in a flask. So this is the way, and the water will condense and will remain in the distillation flask only. So like this we can separate acetone and water through distillation, through a simple distillation process. Now we will see what is fractional distillation. First let me tell you that in fractional distillation, the two miscible liquids should have the difference between the two miscible liquids should be less than 25 degrees Celsius. In that condition only fractional distillation is done. The apparatus of both the distillation and the fractional distillation are same, except that fractional distillation have a fractionating column. They have a fractionating column where in between the distillation flask and the condenser. What is the use of that fractionating column? First, what is it? It is a tube of glass beads which is fitted between the distillation flask and the condenser. This glass beads, this fractionating column, give a space to the vapor to cool and condense repeatedly. And when this process is done repeatedly, we get the pure form of the liquid. Actually, the function of this fractionating column, what it does, when the liquid which has got low boiling point, first it starts converting into vapor, and when it converts into vapor, it passes through the distillation flask to the condenser, whereas the liquid which has got high boiling point will condense and then it will stay in the distillation flask only. So we get the pure form of the liquid which has got low boiling point. So this is the process how we separate miscible liquids through distillation and fractional distillation. Now you will ask me where fractional like here we know that with these two liquids we can separate these two liquids through distillation. Fractional distillation, that is used to separate the components of crude oil, crude petroleum. Fractional distillation is also used to separate the components of air, because air is a mixture of gases. So later on we will also see that. Now the question is, is dye of black ink a single color? As we all know that in black ink we have a dye and mixed with water. In that, water acts like a solvent in which the black dye is dissolved. So with this now with a special technique we will find out, is dye a single color or is dye is a combination of two or more colors. So the special technique is called paper chromatography. Yes, in paper chromatography we will take a filter paper. Okay, we will take a simple filter paper, and here approximately 3 centimeter from the bottom I will put one dot with the help of a sketch pen or a fountain pen. Black dot I will put. Okay, now take a glass jar. Now I will fill this jar with water, only till here, very little water I want. Now I will roll this filter paper on a pencil. This is a pencil. I will roll with, and I will put this filter paper down inside the jar such that the edge of the paper will touch the water. We have to be very careful, and that this dot should not touch the water. What will happen? So this is a filter paper. This is water. This is jar. This is pencil. Now, what will happen? The filter paper will start absorbing the water, and the water will start rising in the filter paper along with the particles of the dye. And what we will see, that we will get dots of different colors. Means here we will get dots of, we will see the component of colored dots is observed in the filter paper, and the colored component which is moving faster is dissolved, that color is dissolved more in the dye. Okay, you can understand like this. The color which is rising faster, that color is dissolved more in the dye. Maybe it is yellow color, green color, or whatever color we will find it. You can perform this activity at home also with simple water and filter paper. Just try it at home and see what are the different components of black ink or blue ink, anything you can take it. Okay, so like colored component of colors can be found in the dye through paper chromatography. Now we will see how to separate cream from milk, or you can can separate very fine particles, solid particles from liquid. How can we separate? Now if we you can say that we can use filter paper also. Like when we are talking about milk, nowadays we get so many varieties of milk. We get toned milk, double toned milk, full cream milk. So in these varieties of milk, there are so many components dissolved in it, and if we will pass this milk through filter paper, it will, all the milk will be passed and nothing will be left in the filter paper. So the filtration technique will fail here. So special type of technique to separate cream from milk is centrifugation. In this process, the liquid is, in any liquid if you take, to where very fine solid particles are there in the liquid. So in this process, what happens? The liquid or the mixture is rotated at a very high speed in a machine called centrifuge. In a machine called centrifuge. And what is the principle of this method? That the higher insoluble particles are forced to move down, whereas the lighter particles will come at the top, will float on the liquid, on the mixture. Centrifugation is generally found, you will see, in dairy where milk production is there. In that, milk is rotated at a very high speed, and the higher insoluble particles moves down, and the lighter cream floats on the water. It comes on the top of the on the milk, on top of the milk, and so the cream is separated from the mixture of the milk, we can say like that. So centrifugation is not only we can see in cream, to separate cream from milk, we can also separate centrifugation. This process is also done to separate water from the wet cloth in washing machine. It is done to separate the fine precipitate in during urine test, and so many other, for blood test also we can use this centrifugation process. So I think the techniques which we spoke today is clear to you. Thank you.